Welcome back to another live and amplified indie fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Yes, we have returned from In a Jam down by the river. I've survived. My voice has survived. My knees are a little rusty, but that's what happens at music festivals. But we are back with our daily podcasting. We have Kenna Elpers joining us. How's it going today?
Hello, how are you? I'm doing good.
Glad to have you here. I'm doing wonderful. It was a nice, refreshing day. Yes. So
Sometimes you need a Sunday reset on a Monday.
right, right. I
Yeah.
try. I tried.
I had one of those as well, so I
Right,
feel that.
for sure. So you're based in Nashville. How's everything in Nashville going?
Oh, it's going great. Yeah, I've been living down here for 3 years now, and I've just been tackling the music scene and loving every minute. It's been busy, but it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. What was has it always kind of been the goal to move to Nashville, or what kind of brought you to Nashville?
Yeah, so I started doing music when I was 13, and like, initially, I didn't really understand music to its entirety, but I knew one thing, like, I wanted to move to Nashville,
Yeah.
and, I never really saw it as a possibility, though, until I was, like, 15, 16, and I was like, "No, I'm going." Like, I don't know how or when, but I'm gonna do it, and so I think it's always kinda been in the back of my mind, like, from the first time I visited here when I was 8 years old, like, I was like, "I love this place." So I think it's
Okay.
definitely been a thought process for a long while.
Was there a specific moment when you said 15, 16, where you were like, yep, Nashville's where I need to be?
Yeah, well, I was playing a lot in my hometown, and I'm from Southern Indiana, and so when I was doing all these shows, I had a lot of people people like words of encouragement for a young
Mm.
kid.
Yeah.
And I remember like there was one specific show I played at this local restaurant, like maybe 10 people were paying attention at the time, but I remember playing it. And I was like, oh, I want to feel this every single day.
Hmm.
And I knew that the best place to do that would be Nashville because it is Music City. And so I think after witnessing, like I was like, if I can get 10 people to listen, I wonder how many more people I can get to listen. And so it just kinda played out that way afterwards.
Nice, nice. And so was it at that point that you already like writing your own music at that point, or were you just kind of like doing covers and stuff?
Yeah, I started writing music from a pretty young age. I just never really knew I could actually release it and put it out, but I put out my first EP when I was 15. So, I started writing, pretty young. I think I started writing around, like, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And is all that, or is that original stuff kind of still out there, or did you take it down as you got older?
So I've kept up most of my high school stuff. I did take down the EP, just because I was so young that I was like, "It doesn't even sound like me anymore." But I
Mm,
keep it for encouragement. Like I
yeah.
listen to it whenever I need a reminder of why I started in the first place, kind of deal.
Hmm.
And so most of the projects are still out there because I want that um I want that progression to show.
Yeah.
But that EP is no longer there. I did take it down.
Nice. I was gonna say it might be a cool idea to one day re-release that EP, but re-record all the songs
Yeah.
and just like label it I'm old now, I'm older or something, and just kind of
Yeah.
like it might be a cool like exercise on a unique way to put out music. So
Yeah, I've thought about that too, just with a couple of the songs people still listen to, like they have
yeah,
the CD or they downloaded it and it's
right,
like theirs forever.
right.
And every summer I had one song on there. It was like a lake boating song, and every summer somebody sends me a video of them listening to it, and I cringe at my voice, but I'm also like, I love that people still listen to
Yeah.
that to this day.
Nice. Because it kind of takes them back to that moment that they heard it the first time. And it's just
Yeah.
like, what, no matter, because like, I mean, you go to any artist, even if they started releasing music when they were 21 and to like now say they're like 40, that age
Mhm.
difference, like there's always going to be that battle. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, so
100%. Everybody has to start somewhere though, and I think that's why I keep a lot of the old stuff up, but I just had to take that one down for my
fair,
own personal sanity.
fair. Who kind of brought you into music originally? Was it something that your parents did, or was it something you kind of found on your own?
So growing up, I'll just say this: my family's not really a musical family, and so growing up, I was around a lot of athletes and people like my family was big on sports. They loved sports, and I was not coordinated enough for most sports. So as a kid, I loved listening to music. I loved hearing music and just kind of fully just being enthralled at concerts or whatever it may
Mhm.
be. And when I was like 11 years old, my mom posted a video on Facebook of me singing, I think it was Rolling in the Deep by Adele. And when she posted that song, a local like friend reached out. She was like, "I'd love to give Kenna like some vocal lessons if she'd be down." And at the time too, I had just sang like at a school play
Mhm.
ordeal, and my grandfather actually, before he passed away
Mhm.
that summer and whatnot, he had kind of told my parents like, "Hey, I think Kenna could be really good at music." Which when you listen to that, when I listen to myself singing, I'm like, he had a lot of faith in an 11-year-old girl. But I had those words kind of ringing in my ears whenever I heard that, and so when this woman reached out to us,
Mm.
I immediately was like, "Yes, I want to do it," and I just never stopped after that.
Ni Nice.
Yeah.
And was it those artists like Adele that were kind of the inspiration during those early years, or were you kind of pulling inspiration from everywhere?
I was honestly from everywhere. I was a big, I was a big Carrie Underwood fan. I
Mm.
loved Adele. I loved like the big powerhouse singers, like
Mhm.
females. I loved Kelly Clarkson and Reba McEntire and Martina McBride. You know, I loved those women. And growing up, I had listened to a lot of older country, and
Nice.
not even that like rock. I pulled a lot from like Stevie Nicks and
Mhm.
Janis Joplin, and I was just enthralled by women in music, and I think they all kind of played a part
Nice.
in me finding my voice a little bit.
Nice. That's really cool. I think that's the really cool thing about young musicians that are coming up right now that are like in their late teens, early 20s, is they're growing up in these what I've kind of started calling multi-genre houses where it's like your dad, oh dad, he's the hip hop rock guy, but mom's the country pop girl. And then I've got friends and their dad's into punk rock, like whatever. And you're just kind of pulling these influences and inspirations from everywhere, which has made music really fun and entertaining.
Yeah, it is, and that's like right now, especially with social media and getting to
Mhm.
find a bunch of artists as days go on and time
Mhm.
goes on. I've really seen that too, just that variety that we're getting, and I think that's why I love music so
Yeah.
much. Is because it's
Oh,
so cool to see what people come up with.
oh yeah. And now the fact that you're starting to see the children and the grandchildren of a lot of these musical legends that we've listened to for hours on end just kind of starting to come up into the scene as well. And it's just like, you can kind of relate to them in the same way that you would have related to their parents or their grandparents and, kind of see how they take that and turn it into a career. It's really cool.
It
So
is really cool. I agree.
yeah. So kind of looking at you and your music, I know you just dropped a new single on Friday, which congratulations on that. I know how hard it is to get a new single out there.
Thank you.
What's kind of the story behind this song? All the fun details.
Yeah, so this song was an interesting one that I wrote by myself 2 years ago. I was at my best friend's house. I don't even we were just having a girls' night, and we start, like, chatting about these specific, very niche experiences we both had experienced together. And, as we were talking, I was trying to give her advice, and I was like, "I don't even know how to like tell you this. Like I feel like we need to sing it, you know?" And she is not a musical person, you know? So I like,
Right.
but she loves listening to music. So I was like, I think I have my guitar in my car. And I ran out, I grabbed my guitar, I come back, and I wrote this song, Saturday Night Season. I wrote it in like 20 minutes. And it's like one of the fastest songs I'd written. And obviously there were some parts I had to fix as time went on, but I told her and I told everyone who had heard it at writers nights, like, I will never put this song out because it's kind of it's using an analogy to like football. But
Mhm.
realistically, the song is kind of about whenever something or someone comes into your life and they take away a vice from you that you just love, something you love, whether
Mhm.
it's a guilty pleasure, and you can't go back to it. And it's hard to find that love for something again. And in the summer, I was getting ready to go to the studio, and I
Mhm.
was trying to figure out what songs I wanted to do. And I'm a senior in college at Middle Tennessee State. I graduate in December, and I was like, it's my last semester. And I was like, it could be really cool to put out a college football themed song.
Yep.
But that also has a deeper meaning. And I was like, it could just be something fun. Maybe nobody will listen to it, but
Mm.
it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And so Craig Campbell, if you know who that is, he's been kind of we've been working together
Mm.
quite a bit this year, and he was going to produce whatever I took to the studio, and he heard the song and he loved it, and the musicians that played on it loved it, and I had made a joke to him like, "Oh, you should feature on the song," like kidding, because it's Craig Campbell and he was one of my idols growing up, and he shot me a message and was like, "I really want to feature on this," and
Nice.
I had to keep my chill, but I was like, "Absolutely." So yeah, he decided he wanted to be a feature, and I mean, we recorded, mixed, mastered, we got all this done in like 2 months, and we put it
Nice.
out.
Nice. In that moment, there is no chill. Like
No,
you could say, keep your cool, whatnot, but there is no chill there in that
no.
moment.
No, and I was like, "Thank God he texted me and didn't call
Right.
me, because I
Right.
probably would have screamed a minute. Because when you look up to somebody for so many years, I met him when I was
Mhm.
15 years old when I opened for him at a festival in Illinois,
Mhm.
and I remember just loving his music then, but him asking to feature on this song, it kind of proved to me that no matter who hears this song, I it's a telling song, like, it's
Mhm.
telling a deeper story, and maybe people won't read into it that much, but
Yeah.
it's something that I think could be powerful, and knowing he wanted to be a part of it just
Nice.
sent chills down my spine.
Nice. It's such a good song. Like I was listening to it on my car ride home yesterday. For I had a 3 hour drive home from this festival I was at, and I turned it kind of just like I'll throw on my playlist of like musicians that I've had on the podcast or going to have on, and it just kind of came on naturally. And I I listened to it, and it'd been the first time I'd listened to it in a little bit, or in since it was released on Friday. Um I was kind of intoxicated when I first listened to it, so that was a whole different vibe. But Sunday when I was listening to it, driving home, uh, it's such a good song.
Thank you.
I just have to say that. So
Thank you, I really appreciate it, and like I said, it was one of those last minute, right? It's like last minute
mhm.
things that I just had to say something, and I think that's why I was so scared
Mm,
to release it, because it is a very niche experience that
yeah.
only like a few people know about, and so when they heard it, they're like, "Oh, I know what this is about," but but I wanted other people to get a chance to kinda feel that feeling while also keeping it lighthearted with the football references,
Mhm. But even though it's about a very niche experience, I think a lot of people can draw a correlation to a similar situation or experience that they went through and kind of relate to it on that level.
Yeah, and that's just the goal, that's the hope that somebody hears it and they're like, "Oh, we've all been there."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So with the Saturday night season out now, you're 3 days for yeah, 3 days out from the release. What's kind of running through your mind right now?
Oh man, right now, I for the past like literally the past 2 months, I've been just forward focused on this release along with playing live. And today I kind of took a reset and took a step
Yeah.
back, and I got my whiteboard out and I was like, okay, what do I want to do before the end of the year? Because
Hmm.
sometimes you have to reevaluate your goals when things kind of flip around and things change. And um I think just after putting out this song, this is the first time that I put out a song and have not felt an insane amount of pressure. I think it's because I realized that this was a song I loved. Like, this is a
Hmm.
song that I wanted to share. It wasn't just something I'm not trying to get, at the time I wasn't trying to get every person in the world to like praise me for it. I think it's just one of those
Hmm.
things where it's like I don't feel pressure. And now I'm just looking ahead as okay, I want to keep promoting this song, but I also want to kind of give people the time to listen to it and take away
Hmm.
their own experience from it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that delicate balance of you definitely don't want it. You don't want to take all that hard work of the pre-production, the production, the post, like all those steps all the way up to the release and then just let it sit there and do nothing. But you also want to trust in the fact that you pre-promoted it well enough that you can give it a couple days to let people kind of just enjoy it for what it is
Yeah,
before you hit them with the TikToks and all that stuff.
exactly. I want people to um find their meaning, like what they feel
Mm-hmm.
the song's about to them. And I have plans for like this week. I'm kind of gearing up for some live performances. So my
Nice.
mind's been more on that. And I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
let people sit with this song, listen to it, and then I'll flood your feed again with
Right.
videos of me singing on a football field. But for now, I want you guys to just enjoy it.
Nice. Are you looking at like doing like a traditional music video for this or?
We've talked about it.
Mhm.
I have talked about it with a few people here and there, and it's definitely a song you could do a
Mhm.
music video with. I think right now, though, with where I'm at in music, I don't know if it will be for this release necessarily.
Mm, fair,
We've been talking about it, but I'm still on the fence.
fair. It's one of those things where I feel like music videos are making a comeback to a degree,
Yeah,
whereas I feel like there was a good 10-year chunk there where they were putting music videos out, but it was just kind of like repetition because it was coming from a label
yeah,
or it was a signature status, a status signature where it's like, oh, I put out a music video. I hit that level.
mm,
But right now it has been really cool especially over like the last year or so, watching independent musicians know, okay, I don't have a whole lot of money to put out a music video, but I have a vision. I'm going to try and make it work. And just seeing what real DIY efforts will
mm-hmm.
do. So
Yeah.
it's been really cool.
Yeah, I love seeing those kind of things. My favorite music videos right now too are like the ones that they almost seem like a mini tiny short film. Like
Hmm.
when they like add like a full play by play of it.
Hmm.
I think it's so cool. Like when people
Yeah.
do that, especially when a song's directly about one thing and you
Hmm.
want that to be what people know it for. I think with Saturday Night Season, it's like a metaphoric song. There's a lot of metaphors and
Hmm.
analogies, and I feel like I want people to kind of pick and choose what they want it to be about.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So Saturday night season, it's out now.
Hmm.
Anybody that wants to check it out, I'll put the description in the put the link in the description below. I'd get that one out here eventually. Um, so what's kind of the next steps as far as releasing music? Are you trying to build out to a bigger project? Are you wanting to just kind of stay in the singles realm? Like, what's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, I have a lot of things working in the studio right now. I've got another duet with a friend of mine. I haven't really talked much about it, but I have a duet with a friend of mine that he and I wrote together, and we're going to try to get that out. And then I have a lot of other singles, but I have this kind of I have this idea in my mind. This is a
Yeah.
new development, a new kind of creative idea that I've had flowing for a while about possibly doing an EP by the end of next year. And, like 5 or 6 songs that all kind of have
Mhm.
a similar meaning and vibe, telling a story throughout. And it's an idea right now. I would like to put pen on paper. Um, but right now, I think it could be really cool. So I'm hoping for that. But if I have to stick with the singles for a little while, that's fine.
Mhm. Is that kind of how you like to approach the recording process? Is you like to specifically write for like a song, or will you just kind of write and then when you feel like it's good to go, or it's something that you want to release, then you'll release it?
I do a little bit of both.
Mhm.
I think, like you said, like Saturday Night Season, I wrote it 2 years ago and I
Mhm.
ended up putting it out. Sometimes though, when it comes to like a project or when it comes to a specific style I want, that's when I'll sit down and I can't do that alone though. When
Mhm.
for a song, most songs that are co-written, those were songs that had intent behind them, like
Yep.
with me personally. if there's a certain idea or message that I won't be able to do that on my own. So I
Okay.
typically get a couple really great writer friends of mine, and we sit down and I tell them it, and then we work together. I feel like it's a little bit of both for sure.
Nice. I mean, that does make sense because it's like when you're writing for a fuller project, you definitely want it to have that connective tissue that connects song one through whatever it's going to be. And so but it's always kind of interesting to kind of see musicians approach because, you definitely see some musicians where it's just kind of that shotgun approach where it's like, I'm going to just continue writing and then eventually it's all going to come together. And then there's some other musicians where it's very intentional where it's like, okay, I want to get a 10 song album together, so I'm going to write 10 songs that go together.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's a cool way to do it. I
yeah.
think it's interesting when people do that. Um, and I have been guilty of doing that before. Like at last, one of the songs that I released, I wrote it specifically because I knew I wanted to release it. Like immediately, I was
Hmm.
like, I want to. This song I put out in March, I was like, I want a honky tonkin, like bouncy song that's just like kind of a love song, but still fun that people can get this like retro vibe from. And so that's how I wrote it. And it took me a while to fully finish that song though. Like it was like that one I wrote by myself, and it took me a few weeks, like months even, before I was like, okay, yes, this is ready.
Nice, nice, nice. And so you said today that you sat down with yourself to kind of figure out what you wanted to do for the
Mhm.
rest of the year. What did you kind of come up with?
Well, I have been this entire year. I feel like I've been living like it's really fast paced. The
Hmm.
music industry, it's all fast paced,
Yep.
and with trying to graduate college and doing all that, I've been a very busy person, and I have changed a lot over the past year. My voice has changed. Who I am has changed as a person, and before the end of the year, I always like to take a minute and
Hmm.
kind of reflect on what I've done and what I want to do. And when I was sitting down thinking about it, there's definitely music projects I thought of. There were, content ideas I wanted for social media and all that. But the one thing that really stuck out was I kinda wanna go back to, my brand of who I am,
Hmm.
and kind of redefine that a little bit because it has changed. I started music when I was, like I said, 13,
Hmm.
and when you start so young, you think you know who you're gonna be in 8, 10 years or however long, you think you know, and then now I'm, 21 years old and I'm like, okay, now I have to redefine that brand. So that was the
Hmm.
big one. That was number one on my list. Is I'm like, I want to take a step back, go back to the basics for the
Hmm.
next month or two, and just redefine myself a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that open mind right there, just knowing in your head that even you, because you said from when you first started music to now you've changed. But you even said that even from last year, you're a different person. As long as you keep being able and willing to kind of reevaluate who you are as a musician as you grow older, it's that's what's going to keep you relevant in this industry because I'm 37 years old and I'm different now than I was 6 months ago. Like
Yeah.
my opinions and beliefs on some things have changed from 6 months ago, and so I think just kind of being able to kind of go with the tide or go with the flow or change as you need to change. I think that's what keeps you relevant in this industry. So
Yeah. And I think like everybody, and sometimes whenever people are a little bit more closed minded, which is fine. If
Mhm.
you have a brand and you want to stick to it because it works for you, do it. Like, I think that's awesome. But I think also, I mean, heck, I'm even different than I was 3 weeks ago. Like,
Right.
we're constantly adapting and
Yeah.
changing and growing, and I've learned a lot this year. I've learned a lot about music and how to go about certain things. I've learned how to be professional in different settings, but I've also learned a lot about myself and what type of person I wanna be, um, for people to look at and, be a part of something. Like, the type of person I wanna give off like, relay to people, has not been fully authentically me. And now I'm like, "You know what? I really like myself." So I'm like,
Right.
I wanna rebrand it to where people like it as well. And
Nice.
so, yeah, I think it's important to adapt.
Nice. So now during this kind of transformative time, are Like, are you evaluating what kind of music you're releasing or just kind of how you're presenting yourself?
More how I'm presenting myself.
Okay.
Like, there will definitely be some changes in music. I think I've always had country has always been my
Mm.
genre and it will always be my genre.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. I love country music. I love now how country music has blown into this.
Yeah.
I know there's controversial opinions on it, but I love how different genres are coming in together in country music. I think
Hmm.
it's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
But I think more it's how I present myself. I for so long I was this one specific. I was put in this bubble. I'm this one person. This is how people saw me, how they knew me, and now I've grown up and
Hmm.
I've changed a lot, and I want people to see that change. And I think it's more just the presentation of it all.
Nice. That's really cool. That's really cool. I do want to jump back to the fact you said you're going to MTSU,
Yeah,
which is really cool because I keep hearing that school being brought up more and more over the last few months, which is because usually it's a lot of Belmont, Vanderbilt, and kind of that thing. But
yeah.
MTSU is starting to get brought up a little bit more. So I don't know what's going on, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I always wanted to go to Belmont
Mm-hmm.
and I had the grades for it. I had the opportunity for it. I got accepted. Like I put an application. I just wanted to see if I could.
Yeah.
Um and it was going to be my whole ordeal
Yeah.
until my junior year of high school. It was around COVID. All the colleges were shut
Mm.
down
Yeah.
and I had all these visits planned. And my mom was like, "You know what? Let's just take a drive and go walk the campuses. We can do that. Like, let's just go." So her and my two brothers and I, we went for a quick day trip, and we
Yeah.
went to Lipscomb, we went to Belmont, and then we went to NTSU. And I thought that when I saw Belmont, I'd be like, yes, that's for me. But it just felt crowded for me. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel, I mean, I grew up in the middle of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
at a little small school, country town, like, and it felt like a lot to like be thrown into something
Mm-hmm.
of that stature. And so when I pulled into NTSU, it was open. It was there was a lot more space, there was a lot more
Mm-hmm.
room. And yeah, their program is great. And a lot of the professors that work at MTSU also do shifts at Belmont and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So you're still getting the full overall picture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just it clicked with me, and I was like, I want to go there instead.
Yeah.
And
Because it's one of those things, and you kind of worded it almost indirectly perfectly. Belmont is just a school within Nashville. Like it's just a part of the city where, from what I've seen from MTSU, MTSU is the city.
yeah,
So like you go there and you're on MTSU campus, whereas if you go to Belmont, you're still pretty much in Nashville. You're just at like whatever building, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So
And that's what I liked about. I like MTSU. Although it's a big school,
mhm,
um, it's all you can make great connections there. Everybody knows everybody a little bit.
mhm,
It's been that way for me for the past 3 years, and um, I have had the opportunity to meet people in music still, and I've had the opportunity to work with people through that school, and they're great. They're very one on one, and it feels like you're a part of something rather
mhm.
than just like you said in the city.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So outside of music, what do you like to get into? What's kind of the passion beyond the passion of music?
Uh, music takes up a lot of my time, and when
Yeah.
people like this question, it constantly changes because I love creativity. I love trying new things, learning new things, and I like to experience with new projects,
Mhm,
but I think for me personally, it's just any free time I have, it's spending time with friends and family, and it's kind of figuring out, like, finding out what everyone else is doing in their lives.
mhm.
Um, I love it. I love sitting down with my parents on a Sunday phone call and like talking for 2 hours, or I love, finding out what my friends are up to and things like that. And that's outside of music. That's like the main thing I do. That
Yeah,
school, it's
nice. And what do you studying at MTSU?
music business with a minor
Oh,
in marketing.
okay.
Yeah.
Marketing, that is probably one of the smartest minors to get. Like it just goes hand in hand,
Yeah, I mean, I've learned more in my minor than I have my major because
right?
music, I knew a lot about the business kind of going into it, which is helpful. But marketing has been a really interesting thing. I've enjoyed that one.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. So kind of looking forward, obviously you said you're in your senior year, right?
Yeah, I graduate in December. Yeah.
So obviously that's got to be kind of a primary focus at this point. But how often are you playing shows right now, or are the next 2 months just kind of like take a pause?
Yeah, so this summer I was doing like 5 shows a week, 4 or 5.
Hmm.
I was playing downtown. I wanted to stay in Nashville for a summer. I was traveling so much the first couple of years I was here because I was comfortable doing that. But I was like, I want to meet people and play music, and so I started picking up writers rounds and shifts downtown and all that stuff. And now slow season has kind of picked up a little bit,
Yeah,
so I'm really playing only like 2 days a week now, maybe three. And and then I'm doing writers rounds throughout the week and writes and whatnot.
nice,
So
nice. That's really cool. So you're staying busy when you can, but kind of enjoying the moment of graduating as well.
yes, that's perfectly put. Yeah, I for these past few years I've been very much focusing very heavy on music,
Hmm.
but now it's my senior year. I'm like, okay, this is my last semester.
Yeah,
Let's just knock everything out. Let's get
nice.
anything I want to do while I'm in college done, you know? And
Yeah.
so I'm taking that time to just kind of hold on to my relationships with the people I've met and getting all my last final words in I need.
Hmm. For
It's
sure.
whoever I wanted to talk to.
Yeah. So did you come into MTSU with like college credits from high school? Is that how you're able to graduate so early?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I was a geek in high school. No, I was I was I I was a like 4.0 student in high school and all that. So I took a lot of AP credits. Um, and I had came in with like my all my history credits done and my
Hmm.
math and all that. So um English and everything. So when they told me I could graduate early, I had to take some summer classes this summer.
Yeah.
But when they said I could graduate early, I was like, absolutely, I'm
Yeah.
done.
You jokingly said you were a geek, but I think you were just really smart in paying attention to what would transfer properly. Because when I was in high school, I had a couple of similar opportunities. I was not smart, but they had a couple of classes that if you would have taken it parallel with like a college class your senior year, you would have left with like a few college credits. And
Yeah.
I didn't like the idea of having to go to school after school. So I did not
That's
take advantage of those.
you know what? It's so bad. I think people it's interesting because when I think about what I did in high school and like I was playing 3, 4 days a week,
Hmm.
going to school Mondays through Fridays.
Yeah.
I was in student council, honor society, peers project. Like when I think of everything I did, and now I'm just
Hmm.
trying to get a college degree with these last few electoral credits,
Yeah.
and um, and playing music and writing. I'm like, how did I do what I did? Because now
Right.
I can't do that. So I'm glad I got those AP credits out of the way.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Nice.
it definitely
Oh,
helped me out.
I have to ask because I had a kid on the podcast while I was at this music festival. He was 17 and he had just gotten off the road for a week doing a whole bunch of shows. He was traveling across Texas. Who's letting you guys play at such a young age? Like, what venues are you playing at?
So I was traveling a lot. It was weird because I'm kid you not, after the first show I did when I was, like I said, 13,
Mm-hmm.
or I was about to be 14 at the time, but when I initially played, I did a free show on like a patio of this local pizza place.
Nice.
And one of those, and I packed like we got a bunch of people out there, family, friends came out, and after that, you just get calls like, um, if if you show that you can handle those environments,
Mm-hmm.
they will come to you. They will. And I reached out to a lot of places, local bars and pubs and restaurants, and then that went to transferring over to doing small town festivals, like little fests
Yeah.
they had in the small, like things like that. And then that went from, okay, now somebody was at this festival that's from Illinois or Kentucky or like close Midwestern states for me. And then
Yeah.
it just kept widening as time went on. And there's been a
Nice.
lot of places I haven't gotten to play that I want to play, but it's been uh it's been really cool. Like when you're at a young age, if you show that you can handle being in those environments
Mm-hmm.
and you're not gonna let that because when you're playing in bars, people
Oh yeah.
people act a little crazy, and you have to
Yeah.
show that you can handle that. And if they see you can handle that, they'll let you play.
Well,
There's
I
certain
don't.
rules. There's certain rules that you have to follow and whatnot. But it was neat getting to see
Yeah.
that people were so accepting. I also had a very short haircut, and I made
Mhm.
myself look a lot older.
Yeah.
So I just never really told them my age. They figured it
Fair.
out eventually. But
Fair enough. I always love these kind of stories because I had a buddy when I was first starting to do live and amplified. He was a lead singer of a death metal band, and he was 17 years old going out on tour with a band. Everybody was like in their late 20s, early 30s. So he was a really good singer, knew how to scream, like all those things. And they would go into these raunchy bars, and after the show, they would all be getting drunk or partying or doing whatever. And he'd be in the back of the van doing his AP calculus homework
homework.
because he has to do his homeschooling while they're out on tour.
Yeah. My parents used to laugh at me. Like people used to laugh at me for that too. Like I said, I was in a lot of these like clubs and events and
Yeah.
things and taking all those classes, and there were multiple times where I would be gone. My school was awesome. Like they
Yeah.
were very receptive to it. And like I when I was 17, I tried out for American Idol. And so like I had to
Hmm.
be gone for like 2 weeks, and then I had to it was around COVID, so I had to
Hmm.
quarantine and do all that. And yeah, you just get in the habit of doing these things on the road. And I luckily I had parents who would be like, get your schoolwork done.
Right.
Like, do not let that fall behind. And so they watched me hard and heavy. They were very
Right.
supportive in that. But yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, We'd
Right.
be coming home from a show in like central Illinois. We'd be coming home
Hmm.
and I would be in the back doing homework until 2 a.m. Is this
Nice. How was the audition experience for American Idol?
Oh, it was awesome. It was
Nice.
really cool. I was like I said, I was 17 and it was my senior year of high school. And I had somebody kind of approach me with the concept, like with the idea, and I thought, why not take it now while I still can? And so I did all the submission rounds that they needed from me
Hmm.
in a night and through Zoom. And then they flew us out to, at the time, like I said, since it was COVID, they were doing 6 cities or like 6 areas in
Hmm.
California. So they flew us out to Ojai, California, this beautiful resort. And it was awesome. It was a lot of long hours, a lot of long nights, early mornings. But getting in front of those judges and getting to experience that was really cool.
Nice. So did you actually make it on TV, or were you how far did you end up going?
I got in front of the judges.
Mm.
I got a yes from Lionel Richie, but the other two said no.
Oh,
And so they did show part of me on TV, but it wasn't like my full audition. They
yeah.
just showed, walking in, walking out, that kind of stuff.
It was just kind of like one of the recaps while we were away.
Yes.
This is what you missed type situations.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, that's fun. I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't tell anybody. The only people that knew was the
Hmm.
5 people in my family and my grandparents, and then my principal at my high school because he had to know where I was going.
Fair. Fair. Fair.
Other than that, nobody knew. And I remember the first time I was on TV, I had to like 4 friends go, "What is this? Like,
Right.
when did you do this? We thought you were out for." They thought I was out working with a band, like in uh, Tennessee or something. And
Nice.
so, like, I was like, "Oh man!" like,
Sorry, y'all. I had to keep it under wraps for a
I
bit.
had to keep it. Yeah, but it was such a cool experience. Like seeing how they run that show and how smooth it goes is just mind blowing.
Oh yeah. I the year before COVID, American Idol did like this bus tour thing where
Yeah.
and so I work for an ABC station, and I was working for an ABC station in Tallahassee at the time. Um and they came through Tallahassee, and they're like, "Hey, you're ABC. We want you guys come cover it, do all the fun stuff." And so me being in marketing and promotions and all that stuff, I was very active in that aspect. And I went out there the day of the audition, and just to see the massive massive turnout and the lines and people just waiting for hours and hours and hours just to most likely get a no, because these judges are just looking for that something special. And every once in a while you'd hear the crowd erupt because somebody got a yes to go into the next room to go to the next phase, because that was a very different situation where it was like you had to go through like four auditions just to actually be seen by like the TV
Oh
producer.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
I mean, I had to do that. It was just all through Zoom, so I would just
yeah.
sit in a waiting room in my living room back home, and I mean, we started at 3 and I didn't get done till like 8 o'clock, but it was
Wow.
awesome.
Nice. That's so cool. So kind of looking forward, enjoying the rest of the year and all that fun stuff. But if anybody wants to check out your music, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Um, I'm on every single streaming platform. Number one, it's under Kenna Elpers. But then if they want to follow my social media, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, all under the same username, Kenna Elpers Music. So you can find me on all those platforms.
Nice. Awesome. And then just one last little thing that I like to do at the end of every podcast. What's a piece of advice you have for the young musicians out there?
Yeah, to all my young musicians, I think just uh, trust your intuition, be confident, and try new things. Fail and get back up. I mean, if I would have quit every time I failed at something, I would have quit a
Mhm.
long time ago. I think when you're young and you have an opportunity to be great at something, pursue it full force. Never feel like you have to dim your light or dim who you are,
Yeah.
and just yeah, be confident in your choices. Starting young, it's hard, and sometimes people won't take you seriously. Sometimes
Yeah.
people will look at you like you're just a kid, you're just a punk kid, you don't know it, but trust yourself and know that there will always be a spot for you in this industry, no matter how big or small.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
100%.
cool. Mhm.
100%. So, but once again, I do want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then thank you everybody for tuning in. Anybody that wants to check out Kenna Elpers on Spotify, we'll have her Spotify link in the description below. So make sure you go check out Saturday Night Season and all her other music. She's got some real bangers on there. It I That's how I make myself feel a lot younger than I'm actually am. I use throw
Did
in
great. I love that. I
the
love
the
it.
the occasional banger.
I love it.
Um, but once again, I appreciate y'all, and we will see y'all later.